Welcome to the Ultimate Gaming Realm, and this is your curator, Dixon, logging on. Dead Pixels, an 8-bit zombie sim. Now if you're into zombies, retro gaming, and grindhouse cinema style, and if you want a good game for a fair price,
as low as $1, plus with free DLC, then you won't be disappointed with this one.
Now before I move on with Dead Pixels, there's something I would like to say about the Xbox Live Indie Game Marketplace. Especially with this game being my first Xbox Live Indie Game review. I'm pretty certain that the members of the Xbox community is fully aware about the Xbox Live Indie Game Marketplace. It's infested with zombies. Half of the marketplace is flooded with zombie games at a price point of $1 per game, which I have no objection towards that price point. Hell, I would rather be paying $1 for any zombie game, no matter how good or bad it is, than pay $60 for a bad zombie game. For instance, paying $60 for a zombie game that you think it's going to be good, and it's going to kick ass, but it turns out you bought the game for $60 and you take it home and you played it and it turned out it sucked ass. And to be fair with $1 indie zombie games, a lot of them are definitely worth trying out, especially if there's a trial version for each one of them. And there's a lot of good ones, and there's a lot of bad ones, but there's also bad ones that are good and fun. But either way, it's definitely worth trying out, especially for $1. Definitely much better than getting screwed $60 out of an awful game. Hell, I think $20 is even bad enough. Out of all the Xbox Live indie games that involve zombies, regardless of how good or bad they are, I found one that satisfies me the most. It's one of the best, well, I'm pretty sure this one is the best out of all, and that one is Dead Pixels.
That's right. I'm talking about a game that's involving zombies, retro gameplay style, classic 2D side-scrolling, 1 to 2 player, 2-player local co-op, blowing off zombie heads, and grindhouse elements. All this in one 8-bit simulator. For $1. Now this is one game you can't go wrong about. Now I'm not going to go for the entire walkthrough. I'm just going to be showing you the first few minutes of the gameplay, so that way I can give you an idea of what type of gameplay it is, and what type of mechanics they use, and what type of references they use from classic video games and horror movies. On top of all, as this game being $1, I definitely don't want to spoil everything either. I believe I'm already spoiling the first few minutes of the gameplay, but it's that way in the trial version, so it's totally no big deal. Okay, now let's get started. CSR Studios, can't strafe right. Now the way I see it, this feels like you're actually watching a 70s exploitation flick at a drive-in and playing an 80s survival horror side-scroller on an 8-bit Nintendo or an 8-bit Commodore 64. Now that's what you call a vintage grindhouse video game style at its best. You have an option of playing single player or local co-op, but I would rather do local co-op because it's much more fun kicking ass 2 players, especially for these type of games. And this gameplay footage was recorded a few months back, so I meant to do this game quite a while ago, but I've been pretty busy with other things, so now I finally got a chance to do it. Alright, now here we go. Local co-op on easy difficult setting. July 15th, 1983, New Hexington, New York. A toxic waste spill in the chemical plant finds its way into the water supply. 3 days later, the recently deceased rise from their graves. Those they kill also return from the dead. Within the week, only 5% of the people can be considered alive. The army was sent in to clean up the city, but were forced to fall back. The city was put under quarantine until a solution could be found. A group of survivors on the other side of the city have a way out. It's time to leave the city. Using a map, you have found the quickest way to the survivors. But first you will have to fight your way through the horde. So far, it's already using references from 3 movies: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Return of the Living Dead. And I'm sure there's more. Okay, here we go now. 10 streets away from salvation. Alright, right off the bat, they explain what controls do what. It's obviously simple in certain ways. The right trigger shoots right, and the left trigger shoots left. So you can use either one of those triggers without turning around to shoot the other enemy behind you. That's quick reflexes for you there. And while you're bulldozing your way through the streets, you're going to run into a few empty places, which has the green arrow pointing at the door, so you can go inside and loot the place. So you can find more ammo or another gun or grenades or items like health packs and valuables, which you have no use for, but still need to get them so that way you can sell them in for cash so you can get more better weapons, grenades, more health packs, and upgrades for your character. The more you advance in this game, the more tougher it's going to get, so upgrading your character is most likely a recommendable thing to do. Alright, right off the bat, I noticed that this game is definitely influenced by Resident Evil because the name of the weapons have been named after the Resident Evil characters. And every trader I go to, I always hear this Moonlight Sonata song, which was also used in the Resident Evil games. Well, the first one. During the piano scene, it unlocks the hidden room. Wait a minute. I think we should go back in there and save. Yep, it's my first save ever since I started this game. I definitely recommend you to do that every once in a while too, because it will get tougher as you advance. When you're using melee in this game, which is the B button by the way, it looks like you're barely even touching them. Looks like there might be an invisible bayonet at the end of the barrel. But it looks like it works after all because their heads explode. Yeah, this zombie game has other influences by other zombie games such as the Left 4 Dead games and the Call of Duty zombie modes. And I'm pretty sure there's many other zombie games to name of. Whoa! Now let's take another look at that. Slow motion now. BAM! I'm pretty certain that a grenade can do even much more damage if there's more zombies around. In other words, more zombies, more damage. And of course more blood splatter too. Well, that pretty much wraps everything up on the basics of Dead Pixels. For more information about the DLC, download the game and see for yourself. It's only $1, and you can't beat that. Plus you get free DLC. It doesn't always work that way at first because originally this game was actually just a standalone. In order to get the free DLC, Dead Pixels needed 4,000 digital downloads. In other words, $4,000 or more. Because making a game does cost money. And the DLC they're actually offering with this game is free. So for both Dead Pixels and the DLC is still $1. And I think it's more than fair. And above all, this may not be the best zombie game in the world, but it's totally worth it. And I highly recommend it.
And this is Dixon of the Ultimate Gaming Room logging off.